Hello, welcome to the second episode of my series about education in music. The title is How to Get It. The video itself is a meta-tutorial, it's a guide how to accumulate considerable knowledge in order to compose and create music like a prayer. If you remember the previous episode, the conclusion was get educated. How? If you have money, the education is not a bigger problem. You pay your tuition and you study. There is some obstacle anyway, because most of music schools, they have an entry exam that you may fail. Of course, if your daddy is the owner of a school, it's not a problem anyway. If, on the other hand, you don't have money or your money is limited and you would like to find and obtain a proper amount of education, I'd suggest that you follow me in this tutorial. Let's begin. Point 1. Learn to read and write music. Music is a language understood by all, but spoken only by few. You can try to speak it without knowing how to read and write, but you always risk to sound like "my love she" instead "I love her," because your learning tools will be limited. When you know how to read and write music, you are able to learn the best from the best. If you are classically inclined, Beethoven, Mozart, Tchaikovsky, Bach or Mahler will be your teachers. If you rather wanted to compose for films, you will have Harry Gregson Williams, Howard Shore, John Williams, James Horner, and few others. For jazz fanatics, there is a partitions from Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, Oscar Peterson, Pat Metheny, John Scofield, George Gershwin, and once again, more than a few others. Even the rockers prefer to write their scores. Just look at Keith Emerson from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, or Richard Wright from Pink Floyd. All of them, they've written the partitions. Of course, they are famous musicians who have no idea how to read and write music, like Barry White or Prince. But I have my doubts if they really achieved their maximum potential in creativity. So, yes, learn how to read and write music. A practical hint: you do not have to learn everything at once. Once again, music is a language of absolutely unlimited possibilities. You can spend all your life on learning small details. So yes, at the beginning, just learn the basics. Like, for instance, a basic stuff in plural staves. Just 5 lines on which you put notes, and the position of the note on the line or between the line identifies its pitch. Next would be to learn clefs actually. There are few clefs, but I'd suggest that you just spend time on learning the basic 3, the treble or violin clef, the alto clef or viola clef, and a bass clef. What is actually the clef? The clef is a symbol that determines the position of central C on the keyboard when it is actually on the staff, and by doing so it indicates how to read other notes in this clef. You should also try to learn basic accidentals, like sharp. Sharp is a symbol that moves the pitch of the note from the existing key to the next one up. Flat is a symbol that moves this note from its natural position to the key below. And there is also a natural, it just removes all those accidentals and note returns to its natural sounding. There are plenty of books about learning how to read and write music, but in the era of internet, I think there is something much faster and much easier to follow and learn, which is tutorials on the net. You can find several of them, but I would recommend that you just begin with 3. The first would be Tim Hansen. The link is on the screen. The second would be Julian Bradley. Again, the link is on the screen. The third is measure by measure, but there are many more on the network, and then you can choose and find ones that suit you the best. Now, let's assume that you have learned how to read and write the language called music. And what is important, you just learned it without spending a single penny. Point 2, learn your tools. Before 1960s, before developing or creating the information technology, the tools of a composer were very limited. You had paper with staves, a pen, pencil, and a keyboard. In the 21st computerized century, your tools reside in a computer. If you have one, no cost incurred. If you don't, then sorry, there will be some money spent, because without that it will be rather difficult to create music nowadays. But for the purpose of this video, let's assume that you have a minimal hardware setup, which is a PC or laptop, a MIDI keyboard, and a pair of decent headphones. If you think about building a more sophisticated studio, please go to my Instagram channel where there are plenty of photos showing how to build a professional studio. One of the photos is actually in front of you at the moment, so you will have the taste of what we are talking about. The 3 tools that you will need are music notation program, digital audio station, which is DAW, and of course library of instruments that will play your music. The notation software is like a piece of paper with staves, except every staff is connected to an instrument that will immediately play the note when you put it on it. So it gives you immediate feedback of what exactly is that you're composing. Now, digital audio station is an equivalent of recording studio. In other words, once you have composed your music, you take your partition, your score, you transfer it to DAW, and this particular application will not only play your music, but also record it. And then you can do the mix. When it comes to sound library, there are plenty of them, but their general purpose is to play your music. Those are instruments that will be used to play whatever you have composed. Now, all of that may sound rather costly, and in fact, when you go to full versions, it is really costly. But luckily, there are also versions for the beginners, which are free of charge. The example would be the Sibelius First from Avid, which is a notation program, and it's free of charge. The other would be Dorico SE from Steinberg, once again free of charge for the beginners. The professional DAWs also have free versions, and once again, Steinberg offers Cubase LE, free of charge. There is a Cakewalk from BandLab, which is completely entirely free of charge. It's a complete, not a reduced version, it's a full version. And there is GarageBand from Apple that is free of charge, but of course you have to have an Apple computer and Apple software. Professional sound libraries, they have free versions, and surprisingly, those free versions come from libraries that are absolutely on the top. So, you can have from Spitfire Audio a BBC Symphonic Orchestra version called Discovery, free of charge. The same Spitfire Audio offers something called Labs. It is a collection of 40 different instruments, varying from strings to pianos to drums, choirs, and even electronic instruments and effects. Vienna Symphonic Library offers a free of charge series called Hello Free, with instruments that really allow you for composing good music. One of the most popular parts of this free of charge series is called Big Bang Orchestra. It's a complete orchestra, properly, fantastically recorded, that allows for creating really good music. For non-orchestral music, there's plenty of available free of charge libraries with basic versions of drums, basses, synths, keyboards, and so on. You just search it on Google. Every of mentioned here software has its dedicated YouTube channel with numerous tutorials. Particularly good ones are the ones from Steinberg. You can see the Steinberg channel link on the screen. Vienna Symphonic Libraries that have phenomenal tutorials, and Spitfire Audio, they have also extremely good tutorials. They will help you to master the tools. And once again, you will pay nothing. It's free. Point 3. Learn your workshop. Of course, it all begins with an idea, tune, or motive you have in your head and you would like to turn it into music. Let's begin with an option A. So, you do have notation software and you have a proper DAW. If you have a tune in a notation program, you add a staff by staff by staff, as many staves, as many instruments you plan to use. You connect them, and then you compose your music. You put notes on staves, on lines for every instrument until you find that your music is ready. Once the composition is done, you can force your notation software to export a mockup, like audio file that should sound similar to what you have composed. The real problem is that usually those mockups are of low quality because most of software that allows for notation does not have mixing abilities or does not have proper tools to do the proper treatment of sound. So they are just illustrations. In most cases, in this situation, you export your music in the form of a file. It can be a MIDI file, it can be music XML file, or in some cases, it can be a file that contains individual audio files for every of your instruments. It has to be said that MIDI and MIDI XML they are not musical files, they are information files. They contain data that define every single note of your music, every articulation, and in other words, it is the information that is understood by your DAW, and then you translate it into music. For more of the details, of course, there are plenty of tutorials about XML and MIDI, so please, if you're interested in it, go there. However, in reality, you don't need to know much, especially about music XML. About MIDI, in a sense of mixing and then further developing your music, you need to know what is a MIDI note, what is a CC1 controller or CC7 controller. But in fact, this knowledge is available on YouTube and it's trivial. It doesn't really require profound studies. Once you have transferred your music in the form of MIDI or XML or audio files individual for every instrument to DAW, you are in a position to do the mix. I will not be teaching you about how to do the mix because there are better teachers that I will indicate to you sometime later in this video. Now, there is the other option where you compose the music directly to DAW. You don't use a notation program like Sibelius or Dorica. You just open your DAW and you directly compose this music. So either you use a kind of pen which is available as a tool inside the DAW, and you write this music directly, except they are not in the form of a note, but in the form of a bar. Every bar is positioned on the vertical keyboard, so you know what the note is, and then this bar has parameters like accent or volume or modulation or whatever else is required. You can also do this by recording directly into DAW from your MIDI keyboard, which is relatively simpler, but it's not that precise. Finally, some of the DAWs, they offer it is called score editor, and you can try to compose music in score editor as you do in a notation program. However, Cubase, for example, this score editor is very difficult to compose. Its purpose is completely different. The main purpose is to create partitions and parts for your orchestra. But composing using this is really difficult. Nonetheless, it's possible. Cakewalk, it has a pretty nice and friendly version of score editor, and you can do this there as well. What I have presented is just an introduction, but we do have several excellent sources of extensive knowledge in the subject available in the internet. I would strongly recommend the following tutorial. which is from sigalas. You have the link. Sigalas is known as a really excellent specialist in the domain of all the electronic treatment of sound. Every trick in DAW, he has extensive list of videos, so I would strongly recommend you go there. Why I'm actually explaining it at all? Because you see, the composers, they have their preferences. Some of them prefer to compose in a notation program and do all this workflow until the music is ready. I'm one of them. I'm the old school and composing directly in DAW. I do this only when I compose music for the film. When I compose orchestral music, no way I could do this in DAW. For me, it requires that I can see all the partition or all the instrument. I can hear them, compile them. So it's up to you how you want to compose, either in notation program on DAW. Nonetheless, both of them are actually valid ways of composing the music. So we are ready to go to point number 4. And once again, nothing has been paid, it's for free. Point 4, compose your music. Let's name the purely musical knowledge required to compose not only beautiful but also smart music. So, read and write music. We'll be talking about it. Specifics of used instruments like scales, articulations, distribution of dynamics, voicing of instruments, linking and combining instruments to obtain required textures, rules of orchestration, practices of composition. Let's also name the purely technical knowledge that is required to make your music sound great. So it would be equalizing, so all those little knobs and faders that change frequencies of what you listen to. Mixing your music or obtaining the proper balance between instruments and the overall dynamics of the music. Panning, putting instruments in proper position horizontally. Reverb, which is putting your instruments properly in a space, so you can say that horns come from your left-hand side, far from the stage, while violins will come closer from the left, or cello will come very close from the right. And final mastering of the whole recording. Now, let's learn it. On internet, there are dozens of videos discussing all and every subject from these 2 lists, but I would recommend 5 particular sources, or if you will, 4 particular teachers. First will be Kathrin, a freelance composer. The second will be Thomson, a composer from Spitfire Audio. The third would be lamy, a composer from Berklee College of Music and at the same time orchestral tools. Michelmore, composer, teacher and owner of ThinkSpace School of Music. And finally, already mentioned, sigalas, a freelance composer, DAW technology specialist, really specialist. A few words about every of your teachers. All of them are musically educated, experienced musicians, and all of them have a talent for teaching. One of the teachers I like the most is Kathrin Dern. She's a young German composer who already gained recognition in the difficult world of Los Angeles Music Society. I found Kathrin Dern when I was surfing on the web to sniff for novelties in the domain. After watching several of her tutorials, I found that she is a particular talent for explaining complicated subjects in an essential, no-nonsense way without overusing the impressive musical jargon. She also presents very feet-on-the-ground opinions on myths and legends from film scoring domain. Her tutorials vary from practical advices on studio, DAWs, libraries, through practical orchestration hints to reflections on music education or survival success in film scoring Shark Tank. She will teach you your musical workshop. Next, lamy. He's a young British composer who presents a series of very well-developed tutorials on basics of symphonic orchestra, its instruments, scales, articulations, ways of merging and combining and doubling them. The series is called Visual Orchestration and is a joint effort joint project between Berklee College of Music and Orchestra Tools. Alex will teach you your musical constructs and building blocks that you will use in your workshop. Paul Thomson is a seasoned composer, co-creator of Spitfire Audio. In his tutorials, Paul teaches the magic of and a very detailed approach to orchestral instruments individually. How to voice them, what are the strengths and weaknesses, articulations, interdependency. This is the knowledge that fills with details the constructs from virtual orchestration. Guy Michelmore is a seasoned composer and a music teacher in his Think Space School of Music. Guy's tutorials cover, among others, reviews of instrument libraries and hardware, but what is the most important for freelance students like you are, he composes music in front of your eyes, using everything you have learned before. He uses different DAWs and multitude of different libraries, from classical orchestras to modern electronic. Guy Michelmore is also particular because his tutorials are full of fun. He does it in such a way that you not only learn quickly, but also you have plenty of times to laugh or smile at least. He's extremely good teacher. Finally, I will repeat Dom Sigalas. Dom Sigalas is not only independent composer and music producer, he has a profound musical education, which is on the top of which he has added enormous knowledge about all the DAWs, about music production, mixing, recording, and all the black magic required to make your music sound great. Now, once we do know our teachers and we know the knowledge we should acquire, let's measure to subject by subject. So, reading and writing, music you have already learned. It is still mentioned on the slide. The specifics of used instruments like scales, articulations, all this stuff, you will learn from Paul Thomson, you will learn from Alex Lamy, and obviously you will learn from kathrin Dern. Now, voicing of instruments, which is a little bit more of black magic, Paul Thomson is absolutely phenomenal. Alex Lamy will give you visual and musical illustrations to that. And of course, Guy Michelmore, who will make it turn into practice. Linking and combining instruments to obtain required textures, Paul Thomson is perfect. Alex Lamy is very illustrative, and kathrin Dern is very practical. So you combine this knowledge from all of them. Rules of orchestration, Paul Thomson, Alex Lamy, and Kathrin will give you maximum information or knowledge required. However, the tutorials are partial. Once you have arrived to this level of apprenticeship, you are ready to study this subject more in detail. Two most popular books in the subject are Rimsky-Korsakov, The Principle of Orchestration, and here, believe me, the book is not easy. It's very well written. It's very instructive, but it's not easy. So that's why I mentioned that. Go first through all those lectures from those 5 phenomenal teachers and then read the book. The other very known book in orchestration is Samuel Adler, The Study of Orchestration. Once again, the same comment. First learn what the 5 teachers offer you and then open the book. When it comes to musical technological knowledge, Dom Sigalas, there is no other actually equally good. However, of course, as we live in internet era, there are plenty of other tutorials. I just mentioned a few of them. The additional learning sources for music, it's Composing Academy, it would be Ryan Leach, it will be Gary Hirscher, it will be Orchestration Online, it will be Learn Orchestration with Tony, and the Secrets of Orchestration. Once again, there are only few of those available. Additional learning in sources for music technology is In the Mix, is a very good, another very good tutorial, and Crystal Mix Done Online, once again, a very good tutorial. So, if you are in your musical voyage, if you arrived to this point, you have just obtained Master of Sciences in Music for free. Now, before I completely finish this video, let me announce the next episode that I will try to really make within a few weeks. which is called Music Education versus Sampled Libraries. Why would I do this? Well, I would like to confirm what the big ones, the best ones, the famous ones recommend in this domain, like Korsakov, like Adler, or even if you study orchestrations done by the big ones, by Mozart, by Beethoven, Bach, and so on. I will try to compare that with using sample or instruments, and we will see whether those rules really apply one-to-one or they require some changes or modifications. So it was nice to meet you guys. Ciao.